Welcome back to Box Office Maniacs, and once again I am late with the mystery review, but I do have excuses. Last Thursday when it was on, we actually went to go see Guns N' Roses here in St. Louis. It was their first stop on their new tour, and it was amazing. It was incredible. Legendary concert. If you have a chance to go see Guns N' Roses, it's expensive, and if you're a big fan and you're worried about, wow, these tickets are ridiculous, it's worth every dollar. These guys played their hearts out, and they played for almost 4 straight hours. So it's an amazing concert. So if you get a chance, go see Guns N' Roses. Then after that, I went out and worked on my TARDIS for 3 days. And yes, I am building a full-size Doctor Who TARDIS. And if you're interested in looking at it, it's here on the channel. Just take a look at it. I haven't me building it. I posted it not too long ago. And then after we did all that, yesterday, which was Monday, I ended up was going to do this review, and then I ended up working on some horror month stuff for this October, so didn't get a chance to do it again. But now I am finally here to do the Mist Episode 6 review. Now, if you watched my last one, I do have to eat my words, though. There's some stuff that I talked about in my last review that I will tell you right now that, it's going to surprise, I think, a lot of people, too. Alright, so my last review, if you watched it, you know that I was talking about how ridiculous it was for a regular person to try to operate on somebody who no experience operating on anybody ever, and they have no idea, anything about the internal organs or anything like that. And a doctor has a headset and he's talking this person through the surgery, and I thought it was the stupidest, most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. And my other job that I have is I work at a hospital. So I asked several doctors, 2 doctors in fact, that if it's possible, if somebody has a rebar sticking in their stomach, could a person who has zero knowledge of medicine or how the internal organs work, could you talk this person through this surgery? And both doctors told me they could. I mean, who knew? I was like, really? They're like, oh yeah, we just would have not to use medical terms. They would just have to use layman terms to explain whoever's doing the surgery what to look for and how to do it. So that's kind of cool, actually. I think that's pretty cool to know that, if I ever happen to get a rebar stuck in my chest, that one of you guys out there watching could save me, could actually do the surgery if a doctor talked you through it. So it's pretty cool. However, I did not ask them if they could land a plane, so I didn't ask them that. So that one's still up in the air. Oh, that's bad. Speaking of bad, okay, let's get to episode 6. Actually, this wasn't that bad. It was not as bad as episode 5 was. In fact, there was a few things in this that I really thought were kind of cool, believe it or not. Now, I didn't even think I was going to be around for episode 6, because I figured I was going to quit watching it, but this is a type of show that it's so bad you're kind of wondering where it's going to go. And that's one of the reasons I think I'm watching it, and a lot of other people are watching it, because they just want to know what is going to happen here. Where is this show going to exactly? And they kind of revealed quite a lot of stuff in this episode. Now, one thing I have to say in this episode is in episode 5, I was talking about how the gay kid had sex with this other guy in the bathroom in the hospital for whatever reason. They never really said anything other than that. And then somebody in the comment section reminded me that this kid that he had sex with was in another episode at some point, which I can't remember who he was or what he was. I think he was in the high school and he punched him or pushed him or did something. He was in another episode. And I don't want to spoil this for anybody, but I think I kind of figured out who molested the girl from, the guy who writes Owl books. First I thought it was a gay kid who did it, but then it's like, well, why would he really do it? So now I'm almost 100% sure, okay, 99.9%, okay, let's go straight, 100% sure, that it's his friend that he had sex with in the bathroom. He probably went to this party, then went up and to prove himself that he's not gay, and raped this girl, and he saw him do it, and of course he likes this guy, so he decided that he's not going to say anything, and he just blamed it on the jock anyway. So I'm almost 100% sure that is what happened. Now, this episode like I said, a couple cool things were going on in here because they actually dealt with the mist in this episode again. And I think that what makes the best episodes is when they actually deal with what the thing is supposed to be about. It's with this thing that's consuming, I guess, this part of the town or the world, which they really haven't explained yet. And this was all over the place. I mean, like last week it was just at the hospital. Here it was at the church, and then when it went to the mall, and then it went to the woman who escaped out into the mist, and it was just all over the place. And I think that's actually was what made this episode much better than the previous episodes, because it really just didn't focus on one terrible character. It focused on all the terrible characters. So let's talk about the woman who escaped first. She got in the truck last week and took off. And she went back to this house, I'm assuming that she used to live at this house, and she went to dig something up in the barn, or the shed, or whatever it was, because she was doing that in the first episode when they arrested her, and then you come to find out it's a bag of money. I'm like, okay, well, if the world's ending, why do you need a bag of money? What are you going to do with it? That was just really kind of stupid. I thought that was kind of a dumb thing, a reveal. Oh, hey, money. Now I have money. Now I can go out and not spend it anywhere because the world's ending. Somewhat creepy stuff went on in this episode where she meets her mom. And so what the mist, I'm assuming is what the mist is now, and they kind of explain it in this episode, is it somehow takes your conscience and projects it into reality and creates real things that can talk to you. Now, of course, that is totally nothing whatsoever like the book whatsoever, but if they have to explain something, I mean, it's not horrible. I mean, I'd much rather have tentacle monsters and spiders and cool things walking around that are thousands of feet tall, and, you know, have this amazing imagination of anything that can happen out there. But still, now we just have projected stuff that's in people's brains that the mist is creating for them, which I guess explains some of the other things, like the old woman with the moth and all that stuff. Maybe she was thinking of, hey, this kid is moth guy, and then it happened because she was thinking about it. I don't know. Pretty much that's what this episode told you, was that's what the mist is. It's basically some sort of mind drug, and it gets into your head. And first I thought maybe she's just seeing this stuff, but if you remember a couple episodes back, she saw her mother out in the mist, and the other guy saw her too, which means that she wasn't the only one who saw her. That means other people can see this, so it's a physical thing that actually can, I guess, injure you and hurt you. And again, you know, nothing like the book, but still, that's, you know, okay. I mean, that concept, if that's even what it is, it's probably not that cool. I'm probably looking way too much into it. But yeah, that wasn't bad. I mean, it was kind of cool. And in fact, also, like I said, she dealt with the mist. She dealt with what was out there. And you kind of know now what's happening somewhat. And then we get to the military guy who ended up in the room with the other military guy. And he's asking the other military guy who he was and why did he steal his name. And then he ended up killing him. I was like, okay, that's why would he do that unless he's evil, but he can't remember anything, so why would he be evil? And why wouldn't he just, you know, try to talk the guy out of it or knock him out? Why kill him? I mean, that was stupid. That was just a dumb sequence. And then we have the stuff that's going on in the church here. And we have the crazy old woman, and everybody is starting to listen to her, thinking that she's actually making sense now, and the preacher is getting all worried. And then we have like this other kid there, and the other kid is like religious obsessed, and he's sort of like a choir boy type of thing. And he goes to the preacher and he's like, well, I'm going to do what needs to be done. This woman needs to shut up. I'm just basically going to go kill her because the Lord wants me to do that. And the preacher is like, okay, whatever, go do what you got to do. So the kid takes her up to the attic and basically he slaps her, punches her, and he's going to beat the crap out of her and kill her up in his attic. And then the woman turns around and knocks open the window, and all the mist starts coming in the attic, and she locks the guy in there to die from the mist. Now, that was cool. Now, I got to say, out of all these episodes, I think that, for me, is one of the best scenes so far in the show. I really enjoyed that. I thought that was pretty inventive, and I hated that kid. And I'm glad he got eaten alive by space worm slug things. I don't know what's out there, or whatever his imagination is coming up with. So yeah, that was a cool scene. I mean, I like that in the church quite a lot. And then now, basically, she went down there and told everybody, "Hey, this guy tried to kill me." And I'm assuming they think that the pastor probably had something to do with it, but they didn't really get that much more into that story. And then we have what's going on at the mall. Now, this is probably, out of the whole show, the whole mall sequence stuff that's going on is the weakest. It's the most boring, and I think those characters are probably the worst actors out of the whole show. The mother and the daughter are just terrible, especially the mother. I don't like her character in the show, and I just don't like her acting. I think she's just not likable. She's not a likable person, and I don't think she's a good actress, and I could care less what happens to her, and I just can't stand the woman. I just... she's just bad. She's an overall just bad character for the show, bad actress, and it's just a character I really can't stand in the show. So her daughter actually came up with a decent idea of, hey, this creature didn't kill me, and I don't know why this creature didn't kill me, so why don't I try to go out in the mist and see what's out there, because if I'm not going to get harmed by whatever's out there, maybe, I can go out there and see what's out there. And mother's like, "Oh no, that's too dangerous. You ain't gonna do that." I'm like, come on. Okay, first of all, still what bothers me about the show, and I'm gonna get to this in a minute, because they kind of dealt with it in the show, and I said this in the other reviews, is the fact that the world is ending, you got all this fog, this mist, and nobody really cares. Nobody cares what's out there. They're all just stuck in these buildings, and they're sitting there playing Monopoly and playing football inside of a mall. Not one person is curious and wants to see what's out there and go out and try to figure out what's happening. No, they're just all content and just sitting there. "Oh, hey, I'm fine. Just give me another soda and give me more Monopoly games to play." I think it's stupid. If I was in a situation, I think a lot of people was in a situation, they would be wanting to know what's out there and try to figure out the best way of going out there and seeing what was out there, and rather than just being trapped in a mall, thinking that somebody's going to come to save them. And again, that's something else I'm getting to. So this girl decides she's going to leave because she thinks that she was not going to be touched out in the mist. Again, not a bad idea. So she goes and is getting all this gear together, and she goes into this room, and somebody from the outside of the room locks her in. It's just basically the woman whose kid was killed last week, I think it was the week before last, and she thinks it was this girl's fault that her little kid died, so she locked her in the room, poured gasoline underneath the door, and set the whole freaking room on fire. Even though there was a fire extinguisher right there by the door that she could have grabbed and put the fire out instantly, but she didn't. She ran to the other side of the room and decided she was going to try to just burn up alive. Then, of course, the jock comes in and saves the day and pulls her out of the fire. And then she's like, "Oh, you did it. You started the fire. I was you." And he's like, "Well, why would I start the fire?" Again, just dumb stuff, stupid stuff. And she's like, "Oh, you wanted to save me." And it's just like, okay, whatever. That was a whole stupid sequence. But the idea of her going out into the mist, which she probably will, and find out what's out there without getting harmed, kind of an interesting idea. So now let's get back to the hospital. So now we have the doctor here at the hospital. And he is basically performing some sort of weird, mad scientist experiments on some of the crazier people that are there in the hospital, or terminally ill patients or whatever. And he's putting them in a room and opening up the doors, letting the mist come in to see what it's going to do to these people. And this is what I'm talking about. This is what regular people, and it's this crazy idea, and these people are going to die, obviously, or something's going to happen to them, but you need to know what's happening. I mean, you can't just sit on your butt and not know. And this scientist, or the doctor, is like, "Yeah, I'm going to find out what's happening, and if I have to do these experiments on these people, this is what I'm going to do." And of course you can't tell anybody because everybody would think he's crazy. So the main character finds out that he's doing that. So the doctor basically drugs the main character, straps him on a gurney, sticks him out there in the mist to see what happens. And then the guy's friends show up and kill the doctor and bring the guy back in. So they were so close there. so close to doing something intelligent in the show and interesting in the show that, you know, I was almost like, oh my God, they're doing something kind of interesting and something kind of cool here. No, I mean, then all that just went out the window. It's like, oh, whatever, you know, whatever. So that was the scene in that was really kind of cool. So the show ends when they all go back out to get into the car because the woman from the house ends up going back to the hospital to pick everybody else up. And they go back out to get to the car, and the car is gone. So, yeah. Overall, actually, like I said, there was some really good stuff in this episode. You finally get somewhat to know what's going on in the Mist. And the Mist is actually involved in this episode. And you do have the whole thing with the church, which was kind of cool. And the doctor was kind of cool. And I wish the woman would have burned alive in the room. That would have been awesome. It would have been the best episode ever. But overall, not a terrible episode, believe it or not. It was actually semi-entertaining, and it kind of gives me hope now. You know, I shouldn't get false hope up here that the show might be turning over a new leaf. It might actually start being good. Yeah, I don't know if I would even go that far. Okay, the show might start actually being able to be watchable. I'll go that far. I did like what they did here. I just wish the characters were more interesting and the acting was much better, and they would spend an extra few dollars on something more than just a fog machine. Which I don't even know if the Mist is a fog machine or if it's CG. If it's CG, it's stupid. Just charge up a fog machine. I mean, literally, the guys, that's all you need. And everything out in the Mist is blurry anyway, and you can't see it. So, we'll see what happens this coming Thursday. I really don't know how many more episodes are left on this show, or if it's even going to come back next season. I don't know what the ratings are like on here. If people have stuck around as long like I have and you guys have who've been watching my reviews, maybe it'll have a second season. I don't know. We'll see. But for now, I mean, yeah, I'm interested. I am interested in seeing what's going to happen next week. So hopefully you guys are also interested in coming back next week, or this coming Thursday or Friday when I get the review up. I promise I'm getting it up sooner than I did with this one. I just blame Guns N' Roses and Doctor Who on the lateness of this video. I'll blame Pinhead as well, because why not? Alright, so if you enjoyed this review, I will be back this week for episode, what is it, 7 now? Wow, it's like, if this thing goes for like 24 episodes, I don't know. I don't know if that's, or if it's like a 10 episode thing, or a 15, I don't know how many episodes it is here. But I'll be back to review it, and hopefully you guys return. And if you like the review, make sure you hit that subscribe button and that bell so you will be notified for updates when I update this video. So until next time, this is Box Office Maniacs, and that's all I have. I don't have an ending.